Hi, Brandy. Thank you for joining me for this meeting and having a discussion with me
Of
about what you
course.
do.
Hey, Courtney, I'm
So,
well.
for people who don't know, please introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Brandy, and I'm the founder of Plant Candy. And Plant Candy is a company that helps people get just as excited about plants as they are about candy by simplifying and gamifying eating plant-based foods.
Oh, that sounds really interesting. So, what got you started with this idea?
A few years ago, I ended up going to the doctors, and my doctor told me that I had high cholesterol, and it made absolutely no sense to me. So I come from a family that's pretty like health conscious. Like there was always a vegetable on the plate. In the fifth grade, my mom stopped us from eating red meat, so I was only eating like lean chicken and eating fish, which was of course the things that everybody said were like super healthy. But at the same time, when I went to get blood work, it really wasn't showing up in the blood work. So that was something that made me go, maybe there's something that I can do because for some reason doctors just want to throw you on medicine, which to me seems absolutely insane to be like, oh, you have high cholesterol, take this pill. Like
Yeah,
let's try no, let's try let me up. You know, when it like
been there. Yeah,
right.
been there.
So I went on this journey, ended up reading this book called The China Study. And The China Study was this book that studied a community of people who never had any record of a degenerative disease. So like no lifestyle disease. So they had no diabetes, no high blood pressure, no cholesterol, no forms of even cancer in the
Oh,
community. And what they realized was that it was the food that they'd eaten. They had it was pretty much a plant-based diet, right? So I was like, this is kind of cool. Like, all right, so we eat food, we can switch things around. So I ended up doing a 90-day, just a test, like 90 days of plant-based. I went back to the doctors and my doctor was like, what have you been doing? Like every like my cholesterol had dropped drastically. And so that just kept me kind of figuring out like, if this worked for me, how can I make this work for other people?
that's actually great. That's actually a great start, and it makes sense, having your own personal journey leading you to want to help others. That's actually really great. So, do you like to work with any particular group of people, like people with cholesterol or
I like to work with people, funny enough, who are curious about adding more plants to their diet, but they're not really convinced that they can do it in a way that's like good and affordable and easy and fun. I have the most fun just like showing people, guess what? This one can taste good and be good for you, and you can afford it. So it's like it's that group that kind of doubts that they can eat well, afford to eat well, and enjoy it.
yeah, that's kind of like me a little bit, to be honest, because I'm like plant-based. I'm a carnivorous monster. Like, how can you like try to convince me? Like, I just want to just eat all the meat. But anyways,
Right?
but anyways, so how do you explain to people that you work with what it is that you do, like to new people who are unfamiliar?
Yeah, I literally tell people that I help you to simplify adding more fruits, vegetables, and whole grains to your diet. Like, so I'm not trying to turn you into like exclusively a whole food plant-based lifestyle person, not trying to turn you vegan. I'm not trying to tell you to cut out the meat. I really am just trying to get you to the point where you enjoy consuming vegetables, and when you sit down to consume food, there's a seed that's planted that like, oh dag, like I did have this meal with Brandy, or I did go to this workshop with Brandy at Plant Candy, and like she did tell me that these mushrooms actually taste good. So instead of me like pushing them off the plate when I when I see them next to my steak, I'm actually going to eat them this time. So that's pretty much how to explain it. Like I'm not forcing you to do anything. I'm encouraging you to add more of what's good to your plate.
So, what are the common misconceptions that people have about like eating plant-based or plant-based diet?
Oh my goodness. The biggest one is the protein myth. Everybody is concerned about not getting enough protein. It is by far one of the most, and as a person who does this all the time, it seems so irrational that we're so concerned about protein. You will not be protein deficient. If we're being scientific about it, right? The protein that we're getting from meat is third party protein. And what do I mean by that? Protein comes from plants. So the only way that animals have protein in their body is because they metabolized it through the plants that gave them there's non-amino acid chains that have to come together in order to create protein. So we're always like, I gotta get protein from meat. I gotta go get this protein. If I eat all these plants, I'm not gonna get enough protein. I
Yeah.
mean, getting third party protein. It's not even like optimal protein. So that's one of the things that I find is like one of the biggest misconceptions. In addition, well, it's like two that it's not going to taste good. So you have to like give up flavor. They have to give up like texture. They have to give up taste, and that they can't afford it. So those are definitely, I would say, the top three concerns there.
So what would you say is like the hardest thing that you face when you're trying to, help people?
The hardest thing is really the mindset and the environments that we're in that aren't really conducive to maintaining a plant-based diet, right? So the challenging thing is to get people to find that strong enough reason for why they will stay committed to a lifestyle, especially when it comes down to like health. Like I like to work with people who have some type of like health or quality of life, shift that like by eating this way, even if temporarily, it helps them to improve that. So that's really challenging because we don't live in a world where it's easy to do this without a lot of commitment and work.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I'm struggling myself right now with that.
Yeah.
But I'm proud of myself. I had a kale salad today. I'm proud of myself.
I love it.
So, what would you say is the easiest part of your job or what you do helping people?
Oh, honestly, the easiest part is things like this, like talking to people, doing workshops. Like I say, for me, this is fun. So like learning about new products, having conversations with people, kind of providing people a space to like have these aha moments like that. That's the easiest part. And creating, like before we started, I was telling you how I've been cleaning out my refrigerator in preparation of leaving town. And like it's so easy just to find like random things and just put them together, but also showing people how simple that is.
Yeah, no, I never thought about, now you're giving me some ideas. Anyways, but what motivates you to continue to be plant-based and to continue to help people um with learning about being plant-based?
Exactly what that moment that we just had where you just said, I just gave you an idea. Like literally those moments where I get to like I said, all I do, I'm here to plant seeds. That's it. I'm not here to harvest the seed, water it, and I'm just planting the seed that this lifestyle is possible, like with a little bit of creativity, a little bit of openness. I always say a lot of spice because it's got to taste good, right? You can make this work. And so that's like the best part of what I do is like constantly meeting people and just shifting, even if there's a small shift in how they look at plant-based foods.
Do you have a particular story that captures like an experience that you've had with someone that you've helped with the plant-based that just sticks out to you?
What's funny is probably one of the moments where I realized that like exclusive plant-based is not always the best solution. Let's be realistic about what gives us the opportunity to have the best quality of life. So that's a lead in for a story. I was working on a project where we being myself, a nurse practitioner, and a fitness instructor had put together a theory that we could use pretty much a plant-based diet to bring any ailment to homeostasis. So if you were having any type of issue, you could just put people on plant-based for X amount of days. And by the time we would figure out like how long it would take for them to get the homeostasis. And the cool thing about having access to a nurse practitioner is that we were able to get labs every week. So you could actually like see like what the blood was saying on a weekly basis by people committing to this life. And we did it in a way that was graduated. So we figured these people are having a standard American diet. We went to a doctor's office, said, hey, are there patients here who would rather use diet instead of medicine in order to, make themselves better? We found a group of people that agreed to it. And so we knew that we couldn't just come in day one, like, all right, y'all, kill all the meat, kill all the dairy. This is boot camp. It's not this. No, like we knew it. So we said, week one, we're gonna do plant-based breakfast. Week two, we're gonna do plant-based breakfast, plant-based lunch. Week three, we're gonna end up, going plant-based breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So it was this graduated thing. Now, as we're going through this journey, we find that there were some people who were following the program to a T, but their numbers were not changing. And we
Hmm.
thought that was really interesting. We're like, what's this about? So that causes the nurse practitioner to dig into some other labs. And what we found was that the group of people that had autoimmune issues could not exclusively um, do plant based, but they got benefits from it, but they couldn't get fully back to homeostasis. So they had to inject different protocols. Most of it was just like add in some fish to be able to like balance it out. But that was definitely for me a really like telling moment with my personal position on plant-based, because I realized that my focus was not so much on plant-based exclusive, right? But how does a plant-based life support people in becoming the best versions of themselves, like health wise?
What is there something that you wish that people knew about plant-based diets, or what you do to help people like understand plant-based diets? Like, is there anything you wish people knew about it?
Yeah, that it's really nowhere near as hard as Instagram recipes make you believe. That is really what I want people to know. The 28 ingredient recipe on Instagram is not the only way we can do plant-based. Now, don't get me wrong. I live in New York City. It is busy. We have lots of stuff to do. The last thing I want to do is come home and spend 3 hours to make a meal that's going to take me 30 minutes to consume. That's just
No.
the last thing. So I'm personally always reminding people that the simplicity is where it's at in this work. Like one of my simplest meals that I love is a freaking stuffed potato. And I know people are so scared of potatoes. Nothing is wrong with the potato. It is what we do to the potato that makes the potato. Okay, so we can't put bacon, butter, sour cream, and cheese on it. And they say, oh my God, potatoes just make me big. Like I just always hold it all to wait when I eat potato. No, it's not the potato. It's what you put on the potato. So
So, last question. Is there any particular like person like that you can think of? You don't have to say their name, but that you wish would take advantage of a plant-based diet.
no, because your quality of life matters, right? And if the food that you're putting in your mouth is causing you to have a subpar quality of life, I would like for the person to shift the types of food that they're putting in their mouth to actually improve their quality of life. So doesn't mean that we stop eating. It doesn't mean that we stop enjoying food. It doesn't mean that we give up our favorites. They may look a little different, right? But at the end of the day, if something as simple as shifting what it is that we have to do to live anyway, right? It's interesting because we have so much regulation around things that we don't need to consume, right? Like we don't need to drink. We don't. I'm not gonna be wrong. Alcohol's good, maybe if you want to drink. Like no one's like bashing a cocktail. We don't need to drink, right?
But with that being said, I want to thank you for doing this interview. Like, this was really insightful, and I'm sure that this people will find value in this. This is really like, it opened my eyes as well, and it inspired me to, actually try a little harder with my diet as well. Thanks.